Professor of International Relations at the Higher School of Economics. Professor, it's good to have you on the program. So over the weekend, very shortly after that attack, we heard from Russian officials saying there was a Ukrainian link to this assault. Ukraine, of course, denying all of this. What is the evidence that Russia has that is leading to this belief that Ukraine is involved?
Good evening, and thank you very much for having you in your news hour. Actually, the evidence is hard. Just so far, the investigators actually obtained some facts and evidence. First of all, the first evidence was that the perpetrators were trying to escape to Ukrainian border and then onto to Ukraine. But this is not the fact. This is not the very hard evidence. The very hard evidence is that obviously they were supported financially by some groups and groupings in Ukraine who can be regarded as radical. And I think that just in a matter of a few days, I think there will be found some transactions, bank statements, which were going to the perpetrators and the organizers' bank accounts. Another evidence is that I think that despite that the Ukrainian authorities are denying, categorically denying the fact, I mean that somehow the investigators in Moscow Investigation Committee revealed that there were a very tight preparations and the terrorist act was very well organized. Mm-hmm. And this organization of the act was actually being done by the some elements which were inside Moscow for a very long time.
And Professor, many people will be wondering about Daesh's involvement in this because they have claimed responsibility for this attack, but many wondering why Daesh would want to attack Russia in the first place. Could the Kremlin's involvement in countries like Syria be the cause of that?
Yes, by all means. Actually, you're correct in saying that. I mean, just the Russian forces and military space command, actually military space aircraft, are presenting in Syria since 2015, and there were many operations done jointly by the Syrian National Army and the Russian space aircrafts. So I think that the Daesh, as Daesh actually long ago predicted, and they were warned Russia that Russia will be punished for that. I think that they were preparing together again, I'm telling you, with these Ukrainian radicals, this act of terror in Moscow. So I think that this is a kind of probably a revenge from Daesh for Russia being involved in the Syrian civil war.
The United States has said that they did warn their Russian counterparts of a possible terror attack. And many in Russia say that they're concerned about security now that this has happened. Did Russia take these threats seriously from the United States?
This is a good question you're asking. Actually, as President Vladimir Putin said publicly, as I remember, that he actually dismissed these warnings from the United States as the at least the intrusion into Russian internal affairs and not very credible. But it seems now, I think, that probably the United States warning its citizens in the Russian territory to not to go to Russia and to actually leave Russia. Most probably, the CIA and the Federal Bureau of Investigation had some hard evidence, which they were trying to share with the Russian Federal Security Service. I mean, why is so? Despite all the very bad relations between Moscow and Washington, the cooperation between security services of Russia and the United States are going on. And I remember that 2 years ago, before the special military operation started, there was a meeting between the director of the Federal Security Service, Mr. Bortnikov, and the director of the CIA. I think it was in the American territory. So I think that that's not unusual.
Mm-hmm. Vladimir Sotnikov in Moscow. Good to get your analysis. Appreciate your time. Thank you.